A lot of soul searching over the last 4 years. Friend of show, Ray Studios, in the chat just said it's almost the 4 year. We're like at the 4 year anniversary of COVID. I'm like, 4 years already. Man, things have gone crazy since over the last 4 years. Thanks for joining. This is going to be on the Fani Willis trial. And Hardlands Media, what's good? Thank you so much for stopping by and commenting. We got YouTube royalty in here. Appreciate that. Everybody's royalty in here. Boring Life. Christian, I see you. Thank you, Toy Mafia. And one of the things that I've been trying to look at is there's been a lot of tension in all different circles. And I've had to say this so often where I've talked to people and I said, okay, we got beef. Sabby Savs and I had a little interaction. Everybody's had Tucker and Ben Shapiro, and it's just all over the place. Remember Megyn Kelly when Candace Owens, they were going at it. And I've had to say it many times, and Trump supporters and DeSantis supporters and all these different things. And I'm like, wait a second. We have to have these difficult discussions, but are you my enemy or not is something that I'm always looking at. And we're at that point. We're at that point where we're looking at who's an enemy and who's not an enemy. That's now it's not even debating that. It's who, and I mean this in a fifth generational civil war type of way. So no kinetic, no violence in that way, but this is a culture war, political war, religious war, and it's people who advocate for the eradication of my rights. That's how I define it. And I always leave room to be wrong. I'll change that if I need to, but I'm trying to figure out, okay, if you advocate, any one of them, who gets to determine that? I do. I determine if you're advocating, or actually if you're in DC, but if you talk about advocate, or even now I'm looking at apathy. If you're apathetic towards my rights, it could be problematic. And that's why I'm going after the blacks. They ain't no friend of mine. And if you support what's happening in Fulton County right now, you are a buffoon of the highest order. And I'm seeing some people online, and obviously they are in a different circle than us here in this channel for the most part. I welcome everyone, but that's how these echo chambers work. There are people who support what's happening with Fanny. I'm not pronouncing her name Fani. It is Fanny. It's too perfect. Fani Willis. If you are supporting that, if you are advocating for it, and I'm trying to wrap my thoughts around if you are apathetic towards it, where do I view you? You are a buffoon of the highest order. And you are advocating for eradication of my rights. And that's through going after Donald Trump unconstitutionally. I'm not voting for Donald Trump, and I'm not getting off on that tangent now. I've discussed why. I'm not against Trump supporters at all. But I have a right to go to a ballot and decide not to vote for Donald Trump. What they're trying to do is lock him up. We are beyond regular discourse. This isn't 1980. We're not arguing tax code. We're talking about locking people up. We're talking about Letitia James. We're talking about taking people's money. This is well beyond anything. This is not political anymore. It's just straight up warfare. It's not lawfare. It's straight up fifth generational warfare. And I am grateful to see who clearly is an enemy and who's not. This has nothing to do with left or right. This had nothing to do with Republican or Democrat. They had nothing to do with it. Either you're an enemy or you're not. And you can see them using these black Pokemons that we affectionately or non-affectionately call Blackymons. The Democrat Party uses them as their trainer. And Fulton County, I didn't think we could see anything worse than Maricopa. What we're seeing here is Housewives of Atlanta, except it's it's the DA of a county going after Donald Trump in an overtly corrupt manner. The incestuous relationships of the judge to Fanny to the lawyers is unbelievable to watch. They all, you could see it in their faces. The judge was so uncomfortable the whole trial. The judge was, you want to know why the judge was uncomfortable? So I'm just reading all this stuff. I'm still not an expert. I'm just reading the stuff and I'm trying to take time, like when I'm at lunch from work and I listen to every single word, believe it or not, of this hearing. And what's happening here is there's this motion to dismiss Fani Willis from prosecuting. And I believe that would mean everybody under her, but I don't know how that works. Maybe I don't know if it's like a head coach, you sub her out and they could hypothetically keep the other ones. I have to look at that. But that's what it's basically saying. Let's focus on Fanny. Fani Willis has a conflict of interest and she should be dismissed and disqualified from this case. It doesn't mean the case would stop, but it's already really damaged. But that's not the point. How are we even here? And I'm watching the trial, and I'm going to get into this deep, but I just got to do my rant here just to get it off the chest here. There's so much. So the judge used to report to Fani Willis. So I'm watching the trial, and I'm like, the judge is being really soft here. Fani Willis, in supreme dramatic fashion, I'm not going to lie, she put on a performance that could win an Oscar. I'm not going to lie. It was an unbelievable, she's disgusting, it's corrupt, it's evil, but there's some beauty there. There can be beauty in evil. And when she made an appearance that was just unbelievable. She came out of the side of where the camera was. And she came out and they hadn't even called her yet. So the lawyers are all arguing like, I think there was almost an objection after every question the whole trial. It was insane. I listened to every second of it. The only parts I skipped were the lunch and the breaks. And then she came out and they were debating. I forgot. They were debating whether she should testify or not. And she's up there like, I want to testify. And it was like something out of Law and Order. I'll say this. It was unbelievable. It was better than any TV series I've seen since probably Homeland. I don't know if I've watched a TV series this was like a mini series. It was captivating. From the most captivating trial, is it really a trial? The hearing, it was a bench hearing. It was only a judge, no jury there. Most captive, from the first witness to the last, which were the same guy, I believe. The first witness I saw, at least, unless I missed anything, was Terrence Bradley, which we'll get to. He started and pretty much ended it. There was another dude after that, but man, every second was captivating. Can't lie. But what we saw here were people using the color. That's why I want nothing to do with this black identity. I want nothing. Just call me anything except for that. They're using the black identity. I can see why she did the church thing now. The whole church thing. And she did it in a way to like admit that she was having the relationship sexually with Nathan Wade. But it was more than that. It was to show the judge, it was to show everybody, I still have these black people with me. So she did that church. We played the clip where she basically said, I'm not perfect. She didn't really come at it from a humble aspect, but doesn't matter. Everybody there was clapping for her. And my take at that time was, and I still stand by it, is just look at the toxic black culture. If you have a healthy culture, you say, bitch, well, maybe not in church, you don't say that, but maybe you say, don't bring that here. That's not how you get forgiveness. And they didn't do that. Nobody did that. They just clapped her and rallied around her. But now that I saw the court and I see the relationships all in the courtroom, they all almost worship her over there. And it was a show of power. And the judge he looked terrified of Fani Willis. The lawyers did not do a great job. I'm going to tell you this. The lawyers did not, I don't know. It seemed like there were restrictions on topics of discussion that bothered me, because the relationship between Fani Willis and Nathan Wade, just quick backstory, Fani Willis using, I believe it was, there was some debate about that. I read somewhere that it was using COVID funds in some part to hire Nathan Wade, but I'll have to double check that. Fani Willis hired Nathan Wade as a special prosecutor, not completely unqualified, objectively unqualified. That came up in the trial, and the judge said you couldn't talk about it. I'm like, what is this? What was the motion about? They were so, I didn't even know what they could talk about. The only reason I care about the Fani Willis and Nathan Wade relationship is because it's one of the many things that shows a conflict of interest and a motivation for her to prosecute Donald Trump. That is a conflict of interest, meaning she needs to be up out of there. It wasn't just that, but it was many other things. I mean, she gave that interview for this book that just came out talking about how Trump stole the election. Bitch, your county stole the election. They stole the election from the people, and, Donald Trump not getting the opportunity, but they stole the election from the people. They were in part of it. It wasn't just them, but they were part of it that stole the election. But then they accused Trump of stealing the election. And she did an interview for this book that just came out January 30th, and they came up in the trial, and they couldn't even talk about it fully there. So I'm like, this is crazy. They can't even really talk about what the true problems were with the relationship. And then after all that, it was so much to unpack. Let me know what you think. I'm going to go into more details. Let's see what vibe people are. Jordan Lott, Libertarian brother, what's up? Us libertarians are having a party when Dave Smith is doing his comedy show in Utah. Heck yeah, let's freaking go. I should get tickets ready for a good time. Absolutely, man. I retweeted that. I saw Dave Smith advertising his stand-up in Utah. Dave Smith, I think, is going through on Twitter, some beef. There's always beef on Twitter, but it reminds me of what Eric July is going through, in that he's become really big, fairly big, and there's a sub economy of people who, like myself, like him, promote him, and then people who hate him. And so he's got a lot of tension there. But that's my dude. Yeah. Stephen had him. Yeah, that was from Wednesday. But right? Yeah, I saw that. I saw half of the interview. I didn't get to see the whole interview. I was at work. The father's testimony. Oh, man. We're going to get to that Black Panther father. Oh, man. It's like, see, I would have actually liked to have seen the father testify in his prime, but it was very interesting to see Daddy Willis after Fani Willis, because you could almost see the next generation of, and I actually respect the Black Panthers, believe it or not. I don't want to get too sidetracked into that. Not that I obviously agree with all the philosophy, but I actually respect the Black Panthers. That was a respectable, in certain ways, not all ways, but a respectable, intelligent movement. But you see the generations come down, and the father is corrupted, and just, he's not the same. The intelligence isn't there. He was just lost. So he just lost his fastball. He's just old. But then the daughter is just completely corrupt, but still uses the black skin color. So that is a very interesting thing to unpack. Christian, thank you. $5 super chat. Wide awake and enjoying your energy. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, this is man, I don't know why. This one really got me heated and energized. It did get me heated and energized. Thank you as always, Christian. Great friend of the show. $5 super chat. I have so many notes. I'm just gonna just go with what I got. It's just so many notes here, and I really have to do different segments if I can to kind of get into the nitty gritty. But another big picture from the hearing, a lot in this hearing. These are the same people that, as I said, use the color of their skin. And one of these blacks, this is Terrence Bradley. Terrence Bradley was he's an extra in this movie, kind of like an extra. He knew the guy Fani Willis was having sex with, and they were friends, and they were also somewhat partners in a law firm. The reason why this name Terrence Bradley came up is because he would have knowledge that Fani Willis was having a romantic relationship with Nathan Wade before she chose him to be the special prosecutor. I don't even understand why that matters. They acknowledged they were friends. There's already a conflict there. Why isn't that enough? What if I'm going to prosecute Donald Trump and then I hire my boy? I'm not gay, I'm not having sex. So that doesn't even really matter to me. It just makes it worse. But you hire your boy, and then you pay your boy with the Georgia tax dollars, and that doesn't happen unless you find enough evidence, making up a RICO charge to indict Donald Trump. You don't get the money for this case, a huge case. That's not enough of a conflict of interest. They admitted they were cool. They were really cool. They went to before they admitted all that stuff before even the special date here when they started banging that they were all. I'm like, why are we so worried about that? They admitted that they had a conflict of interest already. But that's who Terrence Bradley is. So he would have evidence that they were in a relationship before I think they were looking at before 2022, if I'm not mistaken. I got a whole timeline here. I'll go over it. But he would have evidence that they were lying, basically, about when the relationship, the banging started. I didn't get to do the clip because it's just so many hours. I do have some clips here. Well, maybe I'll play some. But during no one's talked about this that I've seen. I'm listening to the hearing, and Terrence Bradley was friends with Ashley Merchant, and Ashley Merchant was friends with Nathan Wade. And Ashley Merchant, when the news came out, texted Terrence Bradley about, damn, did you hear? I'm just paraphrasing the text. Damn, did you hear that they were banging? Did you know they were banging? So they had a kind of a relationship there. But in the process of unpacking the text messages, they say Terrence Bradley on his way back from Dubai. And I was at the gym at the time. I'm like, and I had to stop. I was in the middle of a set. I'm like, what did you say? One black in this Black Housewives of Atlanta, he was one of the husbands kind of in this story, this reality show. He was coming back from Dubai. It came up, Fani Willis was bragging basically that her boy toy, her male black prostitute, had his own travel agent because he travels all over the world and he's been to 6 out of 7 continents. Great. I don't have any problem with that. What I do have a problem is with you hiding behind your black skin, and those that hide behind them in their black skin as if this country was so oppressive. One black's coming back from Dubai. The other black has his own personal travel agent. Daddy Black is pitching movie scripts to LA. That was a part of his testimony. He's just flying back and forth to LA and all. He's a former lawyer. That's the Black Panther daddy. The daddy who said there's a black thing to travel with money. We'll get into that. Large Fupa Black, known as Fani Willis, she hired the male prostitute, Nathan Wade, and prosecutes Donald Trump, former president, number one candidate for 2024. All these are blacks doing this. And she travels around with so much cash that you can put it in wads, so much cash you could put it in a bag. She travels around with the equivalent of bags of cash. And I'm like, damn, it's tough being black in America. Man, I hate this country. Man, this country is so bad to black people. It's so bad to black people that Fani Willis has an attitude on the stand because she's banging the special prosecutor that she hired to go against the ex-president and number one candidate in 2024. Her daddy's pitching scripts in LA. Her male prostitute has his own travel agency. They all graduated from great schools, Howard, and all this, all fraternity brothers, all this kind of stuff coming on. One black's coming from Dubai. Man, it's so tough to be black in America. See, and nobody gives them a raccoon emoji. Nobody gives them that. They are the one, they have all this power, they have all this leverage, and they use the black identity as a defense for corruption, and nobody says, I'm talking about you black imams, nobody says a word. A lot of black people I respect, nobody says a damn word about it. And if you do, then now you're MAGA or whatever, but you don't really see, obviously, Joy Reid wouldn't say anything about this, Jamel Hill wouldn't say anything about this. None of them. If you really cared about black people, you would be really upset right now. And I think they are probably behind the scenes because they know this is indefensible, so they have to ignore it or they have to have bad takes to defend it. I haven't heard these people's takes on it, but you know where they are at. So when they talk about it being tough in America for a black person, these blacks, not me, the ones who you look at as the black leaders, the talented 10th, the W.E.B. Du Bois nonsense. How's your talented 10ths looking? How are they looking right now? When they talk about the America being racist, yeah, it's so racist that they're in positions of power to be some of the most corrupt people in the history of this country. When they talk about America being racist, what they really mean is your black ass better listen to me. We're the talented 10th. We want to use racism to make sure that we have value. Fani Willis doesn't have any value if they're not clapping in the black church. If she goes to the black church and she gets booed, it's a wrap. She's recusing herself. She's not going through the hearing because she doesn't have any leverage anymore. All of the leverage from the talented 10th is from dumb or apathetic or brainwashed or racially insecure black people. That's where they get 100% of their power. Without that, they're done. That's why they go after anyone, especially other people with dark skin, who will criticize them. They are the worst kinds of people in this country. And that's why it makes me, it's so funny to see people go after Nick Fuentes. And I'm just using him as an example. Nick Fuentes as the racist. Compared to these people who carry wads of cash, and then what do they use as their defense? I'm a black man. My father's a black man. They told me a black woman has to walk around with wads of cash. They use your black ass as a defense mechanism, and you allow them to do it. Unbelievable. Let me do a quick check-in before we transition. Let's transition to some of the jokes. You gotta laugh. There were some jokes. There's one or two jokes about this thing. Mike has bad knees. What's up, bro? The talented 10th guy, their power from white people. I think their power. See, here's my thing. Mike has bad knees. Great friend of the show. Great takes. The talented 10th, the only value they have is to bring the black people to, and I don't even want to say the white people, to whoever's running this thing. Whoever gives them power, the institutions and all that. Whoever they can deliver basically Democrat Party values, corporate values, because it's corporate Republicans too. if they can't deliver black people, they have no value. That's where they get their value from. Otherwise, they get thrown away in the trash. That's why Fani Willis, and let's look at some of the clips, why was she acting like this? She put on one hell of a performance. She should get an Oscar. Let's look at how she acted. Why did she act like this? It was a signal to black. It was a signal to self-describing blacks. That's all it was. Who else likes this? Who else likes people who act like this? This is kind of messed up. This is the program I used to get clips, but I didn't have time to download it, so it'll play though. I can't even enlarge it easily. Yeah, it's not going to work. So let me just play it here. Well, actually, it is enlarging.
November of 21. First of all, let's get this straight. Mr. Wade was not actually my first choice. That's no insult to him. It is you because of the way you phrased the question. You said, when I chose him, I didn't inform people of a personal relationship. We have defined personal as romantic. It is an inaccurate way to state the question.
And I will certainly restate it so it is very accurate.
Okay, and please do not yell at me.
I couldn't be a lawyer. I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it, man. I'm in such a different... I swear to you, I would have been like, bitch, who are you talking to? Are you out of your mind? They would have pulled me out of the courtroom. And obviously not on a violence tip, but we can have words. Oh, you're not going to talk to me like this. This is not going to work. I just couldn't do it anymore. And I'm not even that type of guy. She was acting a fool up in here. What did you say?
Very accurate.
Okay, and please do not yell at me.
Bitch, you did not hear me yell at you. Trust me. When I yell at you, you will know.
You hired Mr. Wade.
And you could tell in the lawyer's voice that he was like, he was like, he needed a second. He was almost like, Your Honor, I need a second because this bitch out of pocket. I would have felt him if he would have said that to Your Honor. And they did have 5 minutes. I think I have that clip too. I would have felt that if he was like, Your Honor, before I say something that begins with the letter N, let's take 5 minutes. Because this is not going to work for me. This is my last day as a lawyer, Your Honor. And she would have won that battle. I'm not lying. I'm not saying that would be the smart thing to do, but that's the feeling I have when I hear this, when I see this attitude here. Why is she doing this? She's acting like a stereotypical black, and that's not what she's the talented Ted. She don't act like this.
21. First of all, let's get this straight. Mr. Wade was not actually my first choice.
She's the witness. I'm losing track. Who's the lawyer? Well, she's a lawyer, obviously, but who's questioning who? She didn't even... The only people who questioned her were the ones against her. So it was kind of weird because she never came back for direct. And the person who was going to do the direct her last name was Cross. And I was getting confused. I'm like, what are you talking about on Cross? They're saying Miss Cross. Cross. Her last name is Cross. And I'm like, that's not Cross. She testified and some people thought she did a bad job. They're absolutely wrong. I mean, you're just absolutely wrong. With knowing how bad, we all know she's lying. With how bad we know she's lying, you could not have done a better job on the stand than her. And I'm bringing this up because my bad niece at the Talented Teth, she's speaking to the blacks. There's nobody else she's speaking to with that. There's no one else she's speaking to. We're talking about Fulton County. We're talking about Atlanta. People call Atlanta the black capital of the U.S. I used to live in Detroit, and it used to be that Detroit-Atlanta thing. Which one's the black? I mean, I don't know if Detroit is even now. I love Detroit. I've been to Atlanta, but I don't know enough about it. But I lived out in the suburbs of Detroit, been in Detroit many times. I love Detroit, but that was known as like a black city, and it was always like, maybe because I was in Detroit, because Chicago too, but it was Detroit and Atlanta. It's the Atlanta runs all that, and it's all black. And then the ones that aren't black adhere to the blacks. So when she does that, the attitude is a stereotypical black. If you were to write just the stereotype, right or wrong, the stereotype of a black woman, she played the role. She was Cookie from, and I like the Cookie character, so maybe I might retract that. I don't know. But doesn't it remind you of that? Or maybe some other, you can pick some other black movies. I don't watch too many movies, but it was almost like and I like the Cookie character, but maybe a negative Cookie type character I'm talking about from the hip hop show. Why is it escaping my mind? Empire. And that's what, if you were to write the script of a stereotypical black angry woman, that's it right there. And this isn't even the worst of it.
That's no insult to him. No, it is you because of the way you.
How is she? Wait, I'm like, Your Honor, what is going on right now? What's happening? I asked the questions here. They would have dragged me out. I mean, they would have dragged me out of there. I would have in handcuffs. Not for any violence. I'm peace. Just because my words would have been too much. My words would have been assault.
Phrased the question. You said, when I chose him, I didn't inform people of a personal relationship. We have defined personal as romantic. It is an
Okay. She's playing semantics here. We have defined. So were you banging him and it wasn't romantic? They didn't get into that.
Personal as romantic. It is an
This whole trial, they were getting into semantics. She talked about where I always keep money, where I lay my head. And the lawyers, just as a lay person, someone who is not a legal expert, I'm not using your slang terms. I love slang. No problem. We're in a courtroom now. Where you lay your head, that ain't going to work for me. And no lawyer, they didn't do it because they basically all bend the knees to this. This is all this Democrat, and not all the lawyers I don't think were Democrat, because you got Trump lawyers in there, you got Giuliani lawyers in there, but it all felt like he was too gracious to me. It's a judge bench hearing. There's no jury. So that's another reason why you can do that, because a jury wouldn't want to see that. And that really helped, because the judge used to work for her, is my understanding. That's why it was so awkward there. Let me finish that.
Accurate way to state the question.
And I will certainly
So she's telling him, that's why his voice got a little louder. She's the witness testifying, telling him how to answer the question. The judge did one little bit of things, so scared and gracious to her, but this is craziness right here.
And I will certainly restate it so it is very accurate.
Okay, and please do not yell at me.
I would have been like, bitch, you walking around with wads of cash and you got like a $40 Costco dress on. First tell me how that happens. Don't you ever tell me whether I will, well, number one, I will yell at you if I please. That's my prerogative. She would have got me. See? She would have got me. That's the whole point she wanted to do. She wanted you to get into that, and the lawyers did a good job. I mean, for me, nah, that would have been it. That would have been it. If I was a lawyer, I'd been like, let me try this YouTube career or something, because this law stuff ain't gonna work out for me. Dealing with these kind of buffoons. Here's the judge. Listen to the judge. This is pretty much right after that, I believe. Listen to how scared he is. He's the judge talking to Fani Willis.
You're clarifying that.
Look at his body language. You're the judge. I would have been like, I would have got up like, are you crazy? No, the judge didn't do that. See, he has to worry about getting the black vote. That's the power of that church clapping. He can't be on that seat without the black support. That's what's going through his head right now. He's like, how do I do this without the blacks turning on me?
And your answer as well. You can have a brief clarification, but it shouldn't be something that reaches well beyond the question. All right, Mr. Sadar, we can re-ask the question. We'll see where it takes us.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. Was your father still living in your house?
So now she has full control. The judge, I mean, sounded scared and shook. So what are the lawyers going to do now?
Time you moved to what I would refer to as the Yurty condo.
Yes, sir, he was, due to his concerns related to COVID.
Now, it was interesting. When she first took the stand, she was nervous. You could tell it. Here's her getting sworn in. Let's see if you can hear it. Her voice was crackling. She was nervous. She did well for her performance, but you could tell she was nervous. I didn't clip it here, but before this, she was acting. Really should have clipped this part. She was acting because there was no audio in it, no verbiage really that you could hear, but you could see her because that's her office is right around the corner. So she's like, "This is my house," and she was telling the bailiff and all like, "Hey," calling him by the name. Like it was very low. Can you get me some water or can you get me some tissues? Man, that's a special trap hole right there, boy. In the same way I say Nancy Pelosi is sexy. I can't. There's something appealing about that evil. She walks into the courtroom. She should be embarrassed. I mean, her dress is like 2 sizes too tight. Spanx was trending on Twitter. I think you could see why. She's hidden behind this overweight bailiff, and you can see why Spanx was trending just from that. And she has the confidence. Can you imagine the confidence it takes to put on a dress that's 5 sizes too small? And we can't tell where your stomach ends and your fupa begins. And the dress, it looks like it shows every single roll of fat. And you walk in, the dress looks like it's on backwards. We had to do research to make sure. We couldn't tell. It wasn't on back. I didn't expect it to be on backwards, but she was such a hot mess. The dress looked like it was on backwards. She knew she was going to have to testify, so she's wearing a hot pink dress that's 5 sizes too small and walks in like she owns the place. That's the emperor has no clothes. That's a level of confidence that to me does rub onto attractiveness in a way. That's just me personally. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be honest about that. So this is when she got sworn in. And then I noticed when they got sworn in, they didn't say, you put your hand out and you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God. When I heard it, they just said, so help you. And I was like, wait, did you miss a word? I don't know. I didn't get a chance to look that up. So she's going to...
Yes, Chelsea. District Attorney Fani, Fani.
You hear it?
Last name is Willis.
You hear it? The voice is cracking. So some of that bravado, it's very often with men, a lot of people, that confidence is fake. You're scared. So underneath all that confidence, she's scared. And whether it's Nathan Wade or somebody else, they said they're not dating anymore. We don't know what that means. They could still be having sex. They were playing semantic games that were crazy and for everything. They asked them. I mean, it was I gotta think of some examples from the trial. Every single thing was no, it wasn't because of this. I'm gonna get to Terrence Bradley in a second. They asked him, did you pay off this person? I'm going to tell you why. That was crazy. They asked him, did you pay off this person? And he was like, no. It was because, and they were like, did you have an escrow account? He was like, yes. Did the person get the money from the escrow account? He was like, yes. And I'm like, wow. So that means you paid the person off. That's what we were talking about. They play semantics with everything. That means, we know they're liars.
District Attorney Fani, Fani.
She was like,
last name is Willis.
She was like, Fani? I can't do it like a teenager from The Simpsons, the crackling voice.
Fani.
You hear that? She was like, Fani? I was watching her demeanor closely. And she got better after. It took her about 5 minutes, 10 minutes to settle in. And then her voice wasn't crackling after that. But she was scared. She was nervous.
Attorney Fani, Fani. Last name is Willis.
Ms. Willis, how did you know to come into the courtroom right then?
There were people I was facing in my
I don't get that question. And that's Ashley Merchant. And she brought the dismissal. I think she was the one that found, I don't somehow, because she knows all these people. She worked with them. I have a clip where she's campaigned for Nathan Wade, the lawyer for, I forget the name of the dude who's in the Georgia 19 that filed the dismissal. Thank goodness they found that out. But I don't know if she found it out or I don't know what happened. Sounds like she didn't find it out, but she knows all. She was friends with Terrence Bradley. And I mean, she supported Nathan Wade when he ran for judge previously. So let me bring this back again.
There were people I was facing in my office.
I don't know. There could be. I'm not any lawyer, but I don't understand. And my take matters, my non-legal take matters, because pretend I'm on the jury. I'm clearly anti-Fani Willis, and I don't understand where this went. I listened to the whole thing. I could have missed it. I don't understand why she started with this question.
Fani.
She came in hot and nervous. She should have started with a tough question right off the bat. I know usually what the lawyers will do is Ashley Merchant didn't, Ashley Merchant did a terrible job. She was awful. She was by far the worst of all the lawyers. You ask just yes or no, especially with somebody who's hostile. Yes or no questions. Your Honor, I need yes or no. I don't need anything else. And then you ask a series of questions where she has to say yes to get her saying yes, and then you hit her with a hard one. But this one, she came in, and I could hear her voice crackling. She wanted to be the boss. I would have came in with a tough question right off the bat. But then she came in with this, how did you know to come here? Is she trying to fish to see if she was doing something unsavory? Kind of like the father was watching. She might have been trying to get it like the father was reading the news or whatever. He wasn't allowed to. He was told not to do that. Maybe that's where she was going, but she's a lawyer. She's the DA. She's not. I just think it was a terrible start.
Fani. Last name is Willis.
Ms. Willis, how did you know to come into the courtroom right then?
There were people I was facing in my office.
Okay.
And I heard someone yell, "His testimony is done." It only made sense to me that I would be your next witness. And I've been very anxious to have this conversation with you today. So I ran to the courtroom.
So as soon as you heard that Mr. Wade was done testifying, that's when you just...
You're not going to get her on that kind of stuff. That was a bad idea. And then it just didn't really get much better from there. This is Fani Willis talking about the relationship, and this is the whole heart of the case, really. This is all they really talked about. I mean, I was disappointed. There's much more. I think it was very narrow what they could have talked about, but this is the relationship. The timing of the relationship when it turned romantic was the whole thing. I mean, that was literally the whole thing.
She was having a romantic relationship with the lead prosecutor. I suggest gives rise to that inference. That's the relevance.
The inference that
that they were concealing this because it was not as it's been characterized to the court, and that in fact it started earlier than what they say.
All right, overruled. Mr. Stay down.
I just want to make sure that we're clear. From at least 2020, me and Mr. Wade were friends. At least that time period.
Okay, I'm not talking about...
So no, I want to be clear
She
because
stopped him again.
my credibility is being evaluated here, right? We were friends. We hung out prior to November of 2021.
See, so that's November 2021 is when he got hired. So why is this not enough? I guess it's because they're all friends. So if you do that, then if you hire anybody who's a friend, it will always be looked at as a conflict.
At least that time period.
Okay, I'm not talking about...
So no,
But they were more than just office friends, though. And this is prosecuting the president. You don't want to make sure that there's no problems like this? I mean, it's one thing to be like, I know him, I'm cool with him from a working standpoint, but they hung out. Like, I mean, that was like special friends. Even if they're not having sex, they were like cool friends.
I want to be clear because my credibility is being evaluated here, right? We were friends. We hung out prior to November of 2021. In November of 2021, I hired him. I do not consider our relationship to have become.
Notice the words they played with. I do not consider. Bitch, I was let me not stop. Let me stop at that. She's playing games with words. Listen to what she's saying.
21, I hired him. I do not consider our relationship to have.
I do not consider our relationship to have, and she's gonna say basically they're just trying to not be raunchy, and we're talking about sex here. Because it didn't even sound like they were that. It seemed like it was just a bang relationship. I mean, they went on trips and stuff like that, but it didn't seem like it was like a lovey type of thing. It was like we can go and we can do our thing. That's what it seemed like to me. Listen to the semantics here. This is not semantics, but listen to the weasel words.
I do not consider our relationship to have become romantic until early of 2022. Because I don't know a date and time, I'm saying sometime between February and April of 2022, and very early April of 2022, because I know that the trip that I discussed with you was like the first week of 2022, that the relationship had become romantic.
Oh, so did you have a one-night stand that wasn't romantic, but you just had your jollies? And I think they got into that a little bit, but she did such a good job of the theatrics of the moment, really clouding everything. And the judge should be able to filter through that. But from a public standpoint, from the few people who are really watching this, it clouded it. I think she did a good job. Let me check in on the stat. I haven't checked in a minute. And then I'll get back to this stuff here. Thanks everybody stopping by. Kenya from Cali, friend of the show. He says, bitch is the most appropriate term for this display that Fanny put on. Let me kind of calm down before I say something I'll regret. Javier Milei went to, the Wailing Wall. I think there's so many people going to so many, bending the knee to so many pro-Israel Jewish sites. I lost track. Was it Elon Musk? Was it Donald Trump? Was it Javier Milei? Was it Greg Abbott? Was it DeSantis? I lose track. Everybody goes there. And I was like, and I literally, the only thing I put on it was, I think I said like no comment. And then I was being dead serious. I said no comment while he's at the Wailing Wall crying. I just said no comment before I say something I regret. So that's how I felt about that one. Come on, Bobby Ballbag said, come on, guys. We know he just wanted the Fanny. That's it. And you know what? People didn't feel me on this one, but I could see it. How could you not see it from Nathan Wade's standpoint? Nathan Wade, there's no commitment. He gets to bang whenever he wants. He needed, I don't want to say he needed money, but it came out later on that they weren't making, it didn't seem like that law firm was making that much money. Like, it was making money. I mean, he was well off, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't like bringing in the buku cash. And then, so you're banging her before he was hired, allegedly, because wasn't admitted, but I'm going to get to Terrence Bradley. After this, let me get to Terrence Bradley, then I'll backtrack to whatever, because Terrence Bradley was like the key to a lot of this. Nathan Wade is banging her. And, some of the things, if you're banging, you're doing that stuff, that's fine. But it's costly. You go to dinners, you go to trips, you're paying a lot. This nigga had her paying the bills, allegedly. Well, he had her paying the bills because she hired him. She's not paying him out of his pocket. The Georgia taxpayers are paying for this bullshit. All this bullshit right here. And I'm angrier than they are. That's wild. That's absolutely wild. So Georgia's a weird place. So they're paying Fanny. Fanny, she admitted in this trial she had bag of wads of cat. Who believes? I don't believe none of that. This is untraceable. So I can say, I'm not even going to say allegedly on it. I don't believe it. I don't think you did it. Prove it. Prove to me that you did. And then I'll change my take. So he doesn't have to pay for anything. Well, he's paying, they said he paid for his half, whatever. She's hired him, so even when he pays the bill, Georgia taxpayers are paying it. So he's banging her whenever he wants. So this is what my take is, and this does get a little bit raunchy, but this is, the show did go to Spice, Morning Spice, and now it's known that it gets spicy. I didn't tweet this, but I think Nathan Wade was probably tossing the salad. And here's why I say that. How does this nigga get away with not tossing the salad if Fatty's into it? I'm sorry if everyone watching is going to drop off, but this is not relevant, but we got to have some fun with it too. I'm telling you, let me rephrase. Strike that. If Fani Willis was into having her salad tossed, I guarantee you Nathan Wade was tossing the salad. Because she was paying the bills. She hired him. She paid him basically for him to get her, this trip and all that kind of stuff. And he's banging her. Whatever she wanted, and you see her attitude, she was the ringleader of all of this. Whatever Fanny wanted, Nathan Wade supplied. Whether that's tossing the salad, whether that's any type of kink or fetish you can imagine, that nigga would have had to have obliged. She was paying all the bills. It was like a revert. I mean, typically you see a guy kind of have these type of relationships with a woman. No. Fani Willis had that with Nathan Wade. Think of the wildest kink you could think of. If Fanny was into it, Wade was into it. I guarantee you that. I didn't expect that either, but I'm just using it as an example. Allegedly, hypothetically, just pick the nastiest thing. And it was Fanny. Nathan Wade wasn't able to it wasn't reverse. If Nathan Wade had a fetish that he wanted Fanny to do, no. This was Fanny's relationship. Nathan Wade was along for the ride. You can see that where the money went. There is no doubt about that in my mind. I need to get some quick music to cover up for my laughing. IMK says, pegging. What do you mean by that? No, I don't. I know what you mean. I was just joking. Yeah. That nigga got pegged. If she was into pegging, that nigga got pegged. I guarantee you that. What is the boring life said her feet are gross. So we were talking about, I don't know how this came up. Oh, I know how it came up. I started it. So I'll take ownership of this. It came up because I was like, okay, she's thick fat. And I have no problem with that. I'm just saying all this stuff hypothetically. I'm married. I'm not looking at anything. I'm just saying just for guy talk. I'm like, she's thick fat. And I showed this picture. This is how we got to the feet and the ankles. We're going to get to the cankles in a second. So I'm like, she's thick fat. Actually, if Fanny lost, I don't know, 100 pounds or so, she'd be attractive. Period. No qualifications. Well, other than the loss of the 100 pounds. Even without the loss of the 100 pounds. I could do without the sneakers and the dress. That's not cute. If you're older than 6, if you're in high school with the person, if you're out of high school, that's not a cute look. So she's got sneakers and a dress, but Fanny is it can be appeal, especially if you like the thickums. So I was on X, and I was like, some people are into thickums, and that's okay. Like, I want to understand thickums, and I am into thickums, kind of like General Milley. I want to understand white rage, and I'm white. But some people are into thickums, and that's perfectly fine. Kenya said 40 pounds. Kenya, you being real nice right now. I know she's short, but did you see the rolls in the dress? I think there's 40 pounds on just one side. I'm not even joking. That's heavy. I didn't even talk. We're not even at the ankles yet, Kenya. But I think you're being more generous than me. I think that's cool. Some people are into that. And she's not the ugly. I think she's okay. Because people were comparing her to this is his ex-wife, if you haven't seen it, who he alleged cheated on him in 2015. I didn't even go through the timeline. Let me go through the timeline after this sidetrack. And people were saying, well, he traded down. Well, number one, this bitch is paying his bills. So that right there is something, it's not for me, but you could see the appeal, I guess. So he can use his money for who knows who else Nathan Wade was banging. So he's got his side piece is paying his bills. His side piece got him a job. So you got to factor that into the looks. So yeah, there's no question Fani Willis is not as attractive, at least in this picture, as his ex. I'm not arguing that. But I think they're both attractive in their own right. And people clown me for the Fanny. And I'm being serious about that with the Fanny ass Willis. And then all of a sudden somebody replied to me with the ankles. Do I have that here? I think somebody replied to me with the ankles. I don't even know if I have the ankle stuff here. The cankles. Oh, did I not save the link to the ankle? Well, I'm saving links to Fani Willis's ankles. At this point, you're probably wondering why you joined the live. But that's why we got in. That's why. I don't know did you see that boring life? That might be why he got into that. Okay, here's the ankles. Wait, I thought flirting. Oh wait. Salty Bulldog replied to me in this, and that's how it first came up. Salty Bulldog, friend of the show, said she's flirting with having no ankles, bruh. Paraphrasing. The one on the right even has an honest smile. Shame, shame on middle MAGA. I didn't say she was. I'm just saying that they both have their own positives and negatives. I'm not going to show the picture, but then somebody zoomed in on her ankles, and that's how we got on to talking about her feet. I guarantee you, if she wanted her toes sucked, Nathan Wade was sucking her toes. I guarantee you, if she wanted whipped cream on them with cherries and sprinkles or whatever she might be into, cankles, sores, whatever, washed, unwashed, Nathan Wade was doing that work. I guarantee that to you. And he was probably like thinking in his head, my next trip to Belize is on her. I'm just going to suck this pinky for just a little bit. That nigga was sacrificing for those trips. He likes to travel. And it's expensive. This bitch got wads of cash with her. Who wouldn't suck a big... he's going to suck a big toe. Nobody has to know. It's just them two. There's no cameras. Okay. Fanny was like... Fanny probably got the whipped cream. It was like... That nigga was like... That nigga probably closed his eyes and was like... I'm going in. That was a rough one. Nate, Nate, you a fool for that one, bruh. He a fool for that one. He had to go to therapy after that. That's probably why they ended it. Who knows what she was into? Who knows what her? She's big too. She could have been into a lot. What if she wanted to be on top? Nathan Wade be like, wait a second, how much you weigh again? Yeah. She was like, bitch, how much did I pay you? Okay. Go ahead and I'm gonna be on top for right now. Man, Nate, dog. You was on something else, bro. Let's get to Bradley. His testimony was off the chains. Let me get to the end, the punchline of this Perry Mason novel with Terrence Bragg. You have to see this. You could imagine me. This one I was listening. I'm thinking about where I was when I was listening to this. This was so good. I'll probably listen to the whole thing again. You know what? I would listen to the whole thing again if somebody, and I think they do have the clips, but the problem is they don't clip certain moments I want to see. You got to see this. This is Terrence Bradley. And he was the first witness I saw. And he was more hostile than Fani Willis. And so that, he has something to hide. He was more hostile in a less productive way than Fani Willis. And the whole time you're like, okay, he's hiding because he knew that Nathan Wade was banging. They were friends. That Nathan Wade was allegedly sucking whipped cream off the toes of Fani Willis. But here's what they did. He was his friend. He was his co-worker at a law firm. It wasn't really like a partner law firm. It was just they were sharing the expenses. And then his own personal divorce lawyer. Don't ever say these people are stupid. He gave his friend, and this friend gave himself all these different titles. So just in case something happens, you can't unpack where attorney-client privilege begins or ends. Now, for Donald Trump, that doesn't matter. It ends. That's what they're doing with this case. The lawyer, Jenna Ellis, there is no attorney-client. That's all gone for Donald Trump. But for them, in typical cases, if you confide with your attorney, and I believe I'm not a lawyer, I believe it's with no third person there. That's private. Even if you admit, well, not if you're committing a crime, but you can't get into that stuff. So they conflated these roles. He was his friend. So if his friend told him that he was banging somebody, whoever it is that privileged or not? After he became his attorney, his divorce attorney. You see how brilliant that is? He could have been banging 20 women and his lawyer would be like, privilege, can't tell. So let me go through this and then I'll do the timeline.
You left the firm remained the same as far as other employees, Mr. Wade, Mr. Campbell, as the named partners of the firm. You were the one who left, correct?
That is correct.
So let me set this up. They're all in the firm. It's 3 people. I forget the name of the other guy. I don't think the other guy testified. It was Terrence Bradley was in a firm with Nathan Wade. And so previously, I don't have this clip here, but I have to set this up. Previously in the hearing, they asked Terrence Bradley, why did you leave the firm? Terrence Bradley said, that's all privileged. I was thinking, everybody was thinking probably, oh, it's because of, they knew it wasn't because of that, but everybody was thinking, oh, it was because of Fani Willis. Because he was Nathan Wade's divorce attorney. So he could say, if they had beef over the Fani Willis stuff, I can't tell you because I was his attorney. But the lawyers knew something else was up. This was at the end of the trial, at the hearing. Oh my, something else was really up.
And you termed it as a disagreement. You recall answering questions as though you left due to a disagreement. Yes?
Yes.
And that disagreement was that there was an allegation of sexual assault by an employee made against you, correct?
That is incorrect.
There was not an allegation that you sexually assaulted one of the employees in the firm.
That is incorrect, but yes. Yes.
Yes, there was an allegation that you sexually assaulted a member of the
The
firm,
sexual
correct?
assault's not funny, but his response is hilarious. And that's incorrect, but yes. What did you say, my nigga? That means correct. Is it incorrect? They tried to, he was in his head trying to think, what's the semantic game I can play with this? Wow. So you see the problem. He said he left the firm because of attorney-client privilege. Why does this matter? This is completely separate. They went into a separate trial. Why does it matter? He said, because they're trying to separate what's attorney-client privilege from Nathan Wade to him about banging Fani Willis potentially. He said everything's protected. So then they asked him about why'd you leave the firm? He said that's all protected. That's obviously not protected. There's no attorney-client privilege here. So now his interpretation of what anything is, because the only trust we have in attorney-client privilege is him saying attorney-client privilege. So then we ask him about something else that's not attorney-client privilege, and he said it was. So now, gotcha, bitch. Now none of that makes sense. So I'm driving and I'm like, whoa, this is better than any. I was a big Perry Mason fan, Matlock back in the day, Columbo. This is better than any episodes of that. They've never had a twist like this. So now it all makes sense why he was so angry. He knew it could come to this. And you see him in his reaction, he's a lawyer. He's a very smart guy. Don't let anybody tell you these people are stupid. They're evil, they're not stupid. He knows the chess move. You're playing chess, so people will surrender or resign, whatever they call it when you're playing chess. You'll quit because you see, I'm going to get mated in 3 moves. That's why his face looks like this. That's why he looks like a dumb bitch right here.
Yes.
He sees the checkmate coming.
Recall answering questions as though you left due to a disagreement.
Right here. He knows the checkmate's coming right here.
You left the firm. The firm remained the same as far as other.
See his face? That's that face when you know, damn. I didn't know what was fully up with him, but I had posted earlier that day because he was late to court this day. He had a doctor's appointment or something like that, and they had an agreement where he was supposed to be there. And I was like, I wonder if he's just going to skip. And then I was like, okay, he might show up and just go. He can not answer these questions and get contempt. He'd be found in contempt of court and then just sit in jail or whatever until this blows off. I thought he was going to go contempt. No, he didn't.
Employees, Mr. Wade, Mr. Campbell, as the named partners of the firm. You were the one who left, correct?
That is correct.
And you termed it as a disagreement. You recall answering questions as though you left due to a disagreement.
Listen to this long pause. It's because he knows it's done. It's a wrap. Checkmate in 3 or 2. Bye-bye.
Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that disagreement was that there was an allegation of sexual assault by an employee made against you, correct?
That is incorrect.
There was not an allegation that you sexually assaulted one of the employees.
So this is why lawyers, and I don't know, Ashley Merchant seemed like she was asking all kinds of questions she did not know the answer to. Asinine, from my layman's perspective. This lawyer already knows the answers to the questions. He knows the lawyer knows the answers to the questions. So you have to answer them. And if you answer them incorrectly, that means, gotcha, bitch. It's over. Gotcha, bitch. Here we go.
An allegation that you sexually assaulted one of the employees in the firm.
Uh-huh. That's that Mitch McConnell pause. That's that, you okay? Mitch, you okay? Terrence, you okay? Nathan Wade had one of those too. You might have seen that. I didn't understand why he was hesitating. They were asking Nathan Wade about a cabin in Tennessee. That must have meant something very significant that I still to this day don't fully understand. He paused. He timed out. It was like the blue screen of death from Microsoft for, I don't know, it seemed like 30 seconds to a minute. He just timed out. I was like, whoa, that must have been a good question. Here it is again.
That is incorrect, but Yes.
Yes, there was an allegation that you sexually assaulted a member of the firm, correct?
Yes, there was an allegation, yes.
And as a result of that allegation, you left,
I did.
and you were no longer business partners with Mr. Wade.
That is correct.
The firm remained intact, and in fact, the
He had to avoid perjury.
employee involved remained with the firm, correct?
I'm not certain of that. They did leave the building, of course, and I don't know, some employees did leave.
Now, I don't mean this in a bad way. Of course, I hope everybody's okay. This is allegation, so I don't know if it's true or not. But I don't care about that. It just broke apart his interpretation, and you're going to hear the judge in a second say, this opens up a can of worms because now I don't believe anything about your attorney-client privilege with Nathan Wade. Even the judge had to say that. The judge was very disappointed that he had to say that, in my opinion.
Mr. Bradley, you in fact paid that employee $20,000, correct?
That is incorrect as far as what was.
Listen to this.
On or about the time that you left the firm, and on or about the time that the allegation of sexual assault was made against you, did you pay the person who had made the allegation of sexual assault any amount of money?
There was money left in an escrow that belonged to me. I don't know what that amount was.
Oh.
And did that money that was left in the escrow that belonged to you, was that paid to the employee who said that you sexually assaulted her?
I never signed any. I never gave any money. I left the money in the escrow account.
You
what
corrupt.
happened to that money? I can't. I don't know what happened to it.
For what purpose did you leave the money in the escrow account when you left the firm?
I left the money in the escrow account.
For what purpose, sir?
You corrupt bitch. Do you hear this? This is off on a tangent here, but it just, his credibility is so bad that the judge, not in a legal sense, but for me, I have to believe the opposite of everything he said. She asked him, this didn't even really matter. I don't know why he lied. Oh, maybe it mattered to like a different case, not this case. It didn't matter. She asked him, did you pay the alleged person, the person who alleged the sexual assault? He said, no, I never gave her money. And then she said, well, didn't you have an escrow account? What happened to that money? I don't know what happened to that money. Why did you leave the money in the escrow account if it was yours? When you left the firm, wouldn't you take the money with you? I left the money in the escrow account. Why? For what purpose, sir? There was no purpose. Let's play this back.
I left the money in the escrow account.
Why?
For what purpose, sir?
There was no purpose.
There was no purpose. You left the money in the escrow account for no purpose. He didn't even say, I forgot.
Just left the money in the escrow account?
Yes.
If there's no connection to the money you left in the escrow account and the allegations of sexual assault that an employee of your firm made against you, why was it that you brought to my attention? Why did you respond the way you did about money in an escrow account when my question was, did you pay this employee any money?
I didn't hand any money.
Oh my God.
It was money from my escrow account, to my knowledge.
Oh my gosh.
To your knowledge, where did the money in the escrow account go?
To the employee.
To that employee.
Oh my jeez. These are the people these black imams celebrate. My goodness. These are the people who hang out with Shaquille O'Neal. If you don't know, these people hang out with the celebs. They're well known within those kind of circles, these black circles and the talented 10th circles, from aspects of legal, entertainment, education, all that. They all connect. They're the talented 10th. They're the ones that are held up and propped up on a mantle. That's what they do.
Was there one allegation or one incident of sexual assault with this employee, Mr. Bradley, or was there more than one?
It's one incident.
There were not two.
To my knowledge, there were not two incidents. No.
So I think you could tell he's telling the truth there. I think my understanding is, believe this or not, I think Nathan Wade, they're going to talk about it. I don't know if I'll play it, but it looked like Nathan Wade was involved with the same employee too. Or some other sexual allegation, and she thought it was two, but it was really the one incident. Whew. It's just allegations, but do you trust these people? Would you trust this person around your daughter or anybody you loved or cared about?
Asking for incidents that you have been involved in. Were there two incidents where you sexually assaulted this employee?
No. I
There's
didn't
only
sexual
one?
assault anybody.
He's telling the truth there. Well, no, I don't know about
Was there
that
another
part. But
occasion where you paid any money as a result of an allegation of sexual assault against you?
No.
Did you sexually assault any clients of your firm?
No.
Never.
Never.
Who's Anna Rodriguez?
So they're going off on
I
a
don't even know
tangent
the
to
name.
You don't
somebody
recall a
else.
client named Anna Rodriguez?
The judge is going to speak in a second, then I'll wrap this part up.
Anna Rodriguez? No, I do not.
Never met her.
I do not recall the name Anna Rodriguez.
See, that's the legalese stuff. A lot of people do that. I do not recall, so that leaves room for you to change your answer.
Pardon me, Your Honor, I would object to this. I'm not sure what we're trying to do here. So I would object to this line of demonstration.
All right, Ms. Cross.
Your Honor, this clearly goes to the bias that the witness has towards Mr. Wade and other individuals, his motive in his
Okay.
involvement. And I believe it's an appropriate avenue to pursue based on exploring his credibility.
All right, at some point, though,
I'm not
Well-
going to go much further.
okay.
Judge, if this is allowed to continue in this way,
I believe that's Trump's lawyer. Is that Jennifer or something? I forget her name. I believe that's Trump's lawyer.
here a little bit harassing, then is Mr. Bradley going to be excused from his privilege because this is not...
That's what I was going to do. Don't do that yet. Just sit on it. I think she's already done that.
Man, they're laughing about some crazy stuff here. They're laughing about everything I just said, that his privilege is all done now, pretty much. Even the judge was smiling there. I didn't notice that before.
Your Honor, I'm asking in all seriousness, that privilege, although...
Based on the answer right now, I think now we've opened up a whole area. What he has just responded to, he previously said was privilege. That doesn't sound like privilege to me.
Doesn't sound like privilege. It's clearly not privilege. That's why he said it.
Address that when we go back through the run. So,
Wow.
Ms. Cross.
Wow. I think at the end of the day, I'll go through the timeline and then probably wrap up here. But believe it or not, after this all goes through, I don't think she's going to be dismissed. I don't think they're going to dismiss her. I think they're going to say that I don't know what the judge will say. Might do some soft kind of, reprimand type statement, but then say, this doesn't change anything about Trump, and he has to, or he won't survive in Fulton County. Unless he plans to put on the red hat, I don't know. We'll see what happened. I don't think they're going to change her out. Even though she loses credibility, all that kind of stuff, I think she's still going to be there. Because they never told the full story. They really impeached, basically, in theory. Whether he's legally impeached as a witness or not, the judge obviously has to impeach him in his head. Even with that, they didn't tell the full story of the corruption to me. It wasn't like a clean story, and I thought there was going to be I don't know if hearings don't have a closing arguments. I mean, there was no closing arguments that I heard. I don't know if that would come later or what, but that's problematic. And I'm anti, obviously, them, and I'm still not sold that they did what they needed to do to lock that up, that story up. Let me do this timeline here and then go to comments, and then I didn't even talk about the dad and see how I feel. Let's go to the. I'm going to try to do the timeline here. Okay, let me see if I got my timeline. Okay, here's the timeline that I got for this. I'm just going to go through this briefly. 2015, Nathan Wade testified that, and I just did this by making notes. And Nathan Wade said at some point in 2015, he considered his marriage, quote, irretrievably broken, is what he said, due to his wife's affair. That's alleged. Some people don't believe that. I don't know what happened or not. It's irrelevant really to this, but that's where he said it's relevant to his divorce stuff, but not to where I care about. They decide to delay the divorce until their youngest child graduates. So I don't know if they're living together. I don't know what the case is, but they're still married even today. So they're not divorced. Him and his wife, the one that I showed that people said was cuter than Fani Willis. Somewhere they don't have an exact time. They don't have any receipts or anything. And you don't really need to have a retainer or money to say somebody's representing me. I guess as long as both parties say it, it's said. They said around 2017, 2018, Terrence Bradley begins acting as Nathan Wade's attorney for his divorce. They put that before 2019 to say anything that happens after 2018 is privileged, any type of communication between him and his friend. Basically, it covers everything. Who would know? Unless you can prove that it's not. In December of 2018, Nathan Wade consults Terrence Bradley about the divorce, saying he wants to proceed. That was after his child graduated, I guess, from high school. October of 2019 is when the Lovebirds met. So this is October. I've got it in chronological order for the most part here. Fani Willis and Nathan Wade met at a conference. That was the first known interaction between them. 2019 to the end of 2020, so Fani Willis is living with her Black Panther father, and Fani Willis's father testified that he frequently saw Nathan Wade coming around from 2019 to 2020. But he said his daughter never told him anything like they were together or anything like that. In fact, it was weird. It sounded like the father said that, I don't know if they tried to do that to make it sound like she was dating somebody else, but like some DJ or something. DJ Deuce or something like that. I don't know who that is or what, but I'm not even prepared to talk about that. This thing is crazy, yo. January 1st, 2021, Fani Willis is sworn in as district attorney. She won. So she was campaigning, the 2020 election. She was campaigning that whole time. So they claim they didn't have that much time to be together or whatever. They still could have banged her, but who knows. February 3rd, 2021, Fani Willis is living with her daddy, and which I'm not trying to make fun of. I mean, she was living with Daddy Willis, and then they said they're going to consider moving for safety reasons due to threats of vandalism at their home. They claim people were saying the N-word, some more black stuff. She was doing gang cases, and to my knowledge, these were gang cases with mostly black gangs. Maybe I'm wrong here. And I'm like, well, where are people coming with the N-bomb, is what he said, over that. I mean, she could have had threats, don't get me wrong, but I don't know why they brought race into everything with this. So then she moves out of the house. The reason why they bring that this was in the trial is because it seems like if you're living with daddy and you want to do as much banging as possible, wouldn't you want to get your own crib? So her friend needed a subletter, and she's like, okay, I might want to let my daddy take this house, allegedly, and me and Nathan Wade could do what we need to do at this other house. But they never got evidence or proved that. They tried to, but they didn't really prove it. April of 2021, she moved into the condo. This is where the new place by herself, where she could, if she wanted to, bang Nathan Wade. And then later that year, November 1st, 2021, Nathan Wade is officially hired by Fani Willis. And at that point, to me, they know that they're going to go through with an indictment. It's just a matter of how to do it. They admitted they were friends. I think they were clearly banging, allegedly. And so why not why not prosecute, get the money for funding this whole case from the county, basically the state, and go forward. November 1st is when she was hired, when he was hired by Fani Willis. November 2nd is when Wade filed for divorce against his spouse. So he didn't file for divorce until the day after. They talked about that. The day after Fani Willis hired him. November 30th, that same year, 2021, Mr. Wade's, Nathan Wade's spouse served the first interrogatories to Mr. Wade. This is important. What that does is it asks questions like, while you were married, did you have sex with somebody else? That type of stuff. Early in 2022, Willis and Wade are full-blown, transitioned from, admittedly, from her in that testimony we played, from friends to now lovers, or some type of more romantic, sexual, all that relationship. Confirmed by both of them. There's no denying that. April 2022, that is when they were arguing over this Tennessee trip for Wade. I don't know the importance of that. I'm going to have to dig into and figure that out. The law firm of Wade was part of the situation with Terrence Bradley you just saw. August of 2022, the law firm broke apart. October of 2022, Willis and Wade take a trip to Aruba. Some of these trips, Fani Willis said she paid for cash. She paid for, I believe, her half of the trip is what they were saying. We have no receipts. We don't know. We have nothing to prove that other than her testimony. They requested her bank records. She denied. So I can fully believe what I want to because of that situation. Some of those trips, she said she paid him before they went on the trip. And they never asked, maybe I missed it, I never heard them ask, why did you pay for cash before you went on the trip? I thought the cash was just in case something happens. I never saw that question asked. Willis funds a trip to Belize, and that's where she didn't know what continent, I didn't know what continent it was on. I think it's Central America. I honestly had no idea where Belize was, so I was ignorant there as well. So it's North America. Funds a trip to Belize on Wade's 50th birthday, and they said that was big because he was fighting cancer. Thankfully, it seems like he's rebounded from that. Late summer 2023 is when the relationship ends. They had a significant conversation about ending their romantic involvement, and Fanny had a clip where she said, well, the man thinks, she said, Wade might probably said that the relationship ended earlier because we hadn't had sex for a while. She said this in the trial, in the hearing. And she said, but it's not over till a woman kind of does the emotional part and says we're done. But they still say they're good friends. So late summer, they say it's over. May of that year, Wade's still dealing with these questions for the divorce. November 20th of 2023, so just this last November, Mrs. Wade served notice again on this for Mr. Wade on these questions. December is when the questions arise about the documents related to travel with a romantic partnership. So the divorce stuff is bringing up the Fani Willis stuff is what's happening. So then January 8th, that's when Michael Roman, through Ashley Merchant, filed this motion to dismiss. So listen to that. January 8th, just this past January. January 26th, Mr. Wade, divorce action filed objections and responses to the notice. So what happened is Nathan Wade changed some of his answers to the interrogatories from before. Basically, my understanding is pleading the fifth instead of saying, no, I didn't have sex with anybody. And then basically we're up to our current state. I haven't played a clip of Daddy. That's What a trial. What a hearing, man. I don't even know what to say, man. We haven't even fully unpacked it. And when you get this much like corruption, it's almost like it never ends. Take a look at this clip. You probably saw this clip if you've been following this. This is Daddy. So Daddy Willis was trying to talk about stuff that happened in 2019 in a way to protect his daughter, which you can understand. But this was really weird.
Let me qualify with the dates. Did you spend any time in 2019 in California?
No, and the reason I didn't is that when I first came here, the answer is no, I did not. What happened was COVID. Once COVID hit,
COVID?
That
2019?
I mean, I was just paralyzed.
We're talking about the summer of 2019 too.
I couldn't go anything. I mean, I'm a theater buff. I used to go to the theater at least once a week. But when COVID hit, I just couldn't. I couldn't go to the dentist, which I need to do. Or, you know, it was just a thing. So I was just stuck. I was just stuck there.
I may be wrong, but I believe COVID hit in 2020. So I was asking about 2019. In 2019, did you spend any time in California?
Before COVID was even here in the United States, remember I lived in South Africa and I've traveled the world. I knew COVID was coming before. I knew COVID was around before. They may have announced it in 20, but in fact, I knew about it and I knew what was happening in 19.
Oh, at this point, they probably going to throw your black ass figuratively under the bus. Because you talking too much now. How did you know COVID 2019? What, did you know about COVID 2019? Who knew about COVID in 2019? The summer of 2019. At the end of 2019, if my memory serves me correct, it was very early 2020. I think there was some murmurs in December, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe it could have came out early, I think January, February 2020. And then I remember there was stuff going around where I was working at the time in December 2019, and me thinking, I wonder if that was the plague, the thing. But we're talking about 2019. We're talking about early 2019. Where do you get that from? I mean, that was off the beaten path. Nobody needed to really follow up on that too much. I mean, it was what it was. Either you believed him or you didn't. He sounded very confident, didn't he? Here's the father talking about the blacks in cash. You've probably heard this one too. This is unreal. Who did this? And Wokeness? Oh, no, this is Laura Loomer. Shout out to Laura Loomer. I'm a big supporter. She's like, this is unreal. Yeah, you're right.
You seem to know about the issue of cash in this transaction. You said it was a black thing.
This wasn't even the black thing quote, but this is a good quote. Good part here.
You seem to know about the issue of cash in this transaction. You said it was a black thing. How did you know that the cash was going to be an issue in this testimony?
Because I was asked for it and I was prepped by the lawyers and they asked me about it. What else?
And did you speak with Mr. Wade about your testimony?
No.
Did you speak with your daughter about your testimony?
So this is what I think Merchant was trying to do with Fani Willis, which was a terrible idea. Fani Willis is not stupid, but he was trying to find out, did he listen to newspapers or read newspapers or anything like he wasn't supposed to. And I read a Business Insider article saying that the judge was thinking about removing his testimony or something like that because he was listening to outside sources when he shouldn't, because he's now prepped for the question. He slipped up. He's an older guy. He's not in his prime mentally. It's not like he sounded like Joe Biden, but he's not. You could tell he slipped up as a lawyer. That should have been easy. But here's the famous black cash part.
When your daughter moved or left the house that she owned, did she say anything to you about having a large savings of cash?
Oh, no, no. See, maybe, excuse me, Your Honor, I'm not trying to be racist, okay? But it's a black thing, okay? You know, I was trained and
Why would that be racist? It sounds like that Tommy Sotomayor clip where he's like, if you say Jewish people are good for money, with money, and you get upset, this is the quote from Tommy Sotomayor. He's like, that makes no fucking sense. He's like, what? Is that a diss? To say you're good with money? If that's the stereotype? What is this? Like, he said this is a black thing. You see, it's just disingenuous. It's just completely inauthentic.
Your Honor, I'm not trying to be racist, okay? But it's a black thing, okay? You know.
Why would that be racist? I don't even understand the context where that would be racist. Now, maybe he's just nervous and means I don't mean to bring up race. I don't know.
I was trained, and most black folks, they hide cash or they keep cash. And I trained. You always keep some cash because.
Why is that a black thing? Who doesn't say, well, yeah, it's always good to have some cash because maybe your card doesn't work. Somebody could cut off your card. You know, cash gives you another option is all it is. If you're outside, and I'm, fail at this. I don't always I use my phone. Sometimes I don't even have my cards with me, which is crazy, especially if the phone dies and I have no charger because I, can just pay with the tap on the phone. Who does it? How's that a black thing? I don't even understand that.
I've been places, and just because of the color of my skin, for example, I took a fellowship at Harvard.
Look at these black. The color of my skin. I have one more thing I want to do. And I'm done. I have one more thing. The part that is crazy about Fani Willis and the cash is that she has tried some serious gang prosecutions. So I took some notes here because I was going to do an article on this. I didn't get a chance to put it up yet on middlemega.com. But here's what I have so far. Fani Willis, in her capacity as Fulton County's district attorney, she took on some high-profile gang-related cases. So she used RICO on some of these cases. And if she uses she's using RICO against Trump. Most recently, very well known here, the YSL gang and the Drug Rich gang. These cases are very complex, severe. These are some of the reasons why she said she had to move out of that one house. So if it's gotten that serious as the DA, and you're running around with bags of cash, is that not a concern from that standpoint as well? Where's Brian Kemp? Where are the Georgia legislators? I mean, I don't want to rat on it. She's already ratted on herself, but wouldn't the IRS be curious about this? You've got a pudgy DA of Fulton County wearing a $20 dress from Amazon. She's prosecuting high-profile drug cases, and she's running around with suitcases or, who knows how she's carrying it. But she's got so much cash, you could put it in wads. That's where the bands come from. You wrap it with bands, stacks, suitcase bags of cash. Does that not raise any alarms to anybody? Is that not something worth looking into a little bit deeper? I think part of that is some of the stuff that Georgia's going to want to wrap up. And I think they're going to have her back because of that. So let me take a look. Comments here. I'm going to be out. Loaded Wretch was good. Wearing the dress backwards. No, she did wear it backwards, but it looked like she wore it backwards, though. It doesn't matter. These memes, it's close enough. It's close enough for these memes. If you don't know about the dress backwards situation, because there's some people who might, I've done this topic fully at this point, but maybe some people just jumped in and they got a community notes on this one now. I despise community notes if you don't know. But it looks like this one is accurate. So Benny Johnson said, Fanny wait, why did he get community notes when he was asking the question? See, community notes is a mess, man. Benny Johnson said, so Fanny was wearing her dress backwards? Question mark. There should be no community note on this post. He made no claims. Community notes is an effing disaster. So then they showed this dress that wasn't the dress. It looked like it. I don't blame it. But see, that's how the dress looks online. Why are they playing you like that, ladies? The dress looks like that online, but in real life, it shows every single layer of pudginess. Maybe that woman was wearing Spanx. See, that might be the problem. Got to get that Spanx in. I've learned what Spanx are. They're just girdles, right? I mean, just modern day whatever to keep that fat in. So was she wearing it backwards? No. She was just, it looked like a cheap dress, though. We do say that. Eric Smith, friend of the show, what's good? Says, Rhino. Fee, fi, do, rhino. In her bra. Boring Life said in her bra, or maybe that was the lump in her rump. So they showed a picture of her when she had that dramatic entrance and you saw her from behind and the ass kind of looked cottage cheese-like, or she was wearing a huge diaper. I don't know what, but it was not appealing at that moment. You didn't want to see leggings at that moment. I will not lie. Everybody laughing about the dress backwards. Well, it's a money thing. It got a cashy swing. Well, it's a cash thing, man. Running around with these bags of cash, going to Belize, going to Aruba. They went to Napa Valley. They were doing it big, man. All off the taxpayers, well, indirectly at least, all off the backs of the taxpayer. He's saying he was trained to be racist against white folks. Oh my gosh. The IMK said there were murmurs in December and they claimed it was discovered late November. Okay, thanks for confirming that. I thought there was murmurs and I don't know if I knew about the murmurs. I don't think I knew about COVID until after, I think it was January 2020, if I'm pretty sure. I think it was January 2020. But then after that, it came out, real shortly after that, it came out that they had known late 20, but we were talking early 2019. He said, IMK said November, December. I didn't even hear November, but I believe you. But what about the summer? I didn't hear that. I mean, where he got his source at? He might have been telling the truth. He sounded very confident there. You know, Black Panther, all that kind of stuff. He could have been wrapped up with the CIA. Who knows? Movies and all that kind of stuff. Kenny from Cali says, Fanny first started getting threats when she prosecuted those elementary school teachers on RICO. They changed the answer on that test. Oh, I don't. I might have seen that in passing, but I'm not familiar with that. So I'll look that up. Thanks. It was a lump of cash. She probably did. She probably had a lump of cash in her ass just in case. Just in case she needed to bail out of that courtroom. She needed allegedly a gang member or somebody to have her back, get her up out of the country, have that wad of cash in her ass crack. Bobby Ballbag said, I got something flu-like right after Thanksgiving 2019. Ain't nobody knows shit. I don't get sick too often. I probably do get a flu maybe once a year, I'm thinking. I remember it was I think for me it was right around that time too. It was maybe December, early December. I got a flu. It was like 2 days. It was like a day or two. It was quick. It was a quick one. I had one this past year. It was like a 3-day one. It was bad. I mean, it wasn't that bad, but it was bad. I didn't go to the hospital or anything, but I was bedridden. The one thing about the flu is you lose weight. So I was like, okay, I got on the scale. I go, okay, I'm not too bad. But then you gain it right back because, it's not real. 2 weeks. Oh, man. Wow. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, I haven't had a 2-weeker and anything like that. For this last one, I remember that third day, I was like, if it doesn't come down, I'm going to the hospital. And it came down with Tylenol, and that was good. But I swear I probably had COVID 2019, late 2019. I've the whole time after we found out about COVID, I always thought that was COVID, but who knows? Wow, everybody, Eric Smith saying had something flu like end of January 2020. Yep, a lot of people had stuff around that time. It's almost 4 years. We're at the 4 year, right? 2020, 21, 22, 23, and we're 24. 4 years, like Ray Studio said. Literally was the only time in those 2-3 years I was sick. Okay. Tony Pepperoni. Wow. I had COVID 2019 and recovered, so I knew the numbers from the beginning were wrong. Wow. Wow. I mean, this is anecdotal, but including myself, I mean, this is the first we've talked about this on the channel. Wasn't China having an issue with COVID in September 19 and kept it quiet? Okay, I don't know the exact date there. I think there was something. I didn't know it was that early. So maybe Daddy Willis wasn't that far off. Tony Pepperoni says, wipe me out, told my friend this was different. Mm-hmm. Waiting on disease. Now we all here waiting on disease X. That sounds like a Elon Musk Twitter thing or something. Disease X. Boring Life says, around the Super Bowl, almost a third of the people at my grocery store went ill for 2 weeks. Yep, that stuff was spreading quickly back then. But then, it was funny. People had it, then had natural immunity. And that wasn't good enough. That wasn't good enough for the government. Just like with the Trump case. Government. So, Trump got the judgment, summary judgment, didn't have a real trial, has to pay, whatever is it, 360 million or something like that. Man. This is, yeah, it's coming. You could see things escalating really quickly. He can appeal, but I mean he has to put some of the money up and then hopefully he'll get it back. I don't think it stands up on appeal, but it's crazy that we're even at this point. I don't know if you saw this. Trump got booed. I think he was at some event that wasn't, it could have been some leftists there or something. I don't know. I don't think it means anything. Here's my thing. If somebody gets booed, I just want to know why. What does it mean? Because it was good that Trump got booed when he brought the Johnson family down and they got booed. He brought Lindsey Graham on the stage. He got booed. Those are good boos. This one, it could have been just a leftist type of boo or something like that. But it looked like he got booed. And I'll play the clip here for you. It's hard to tell. I thought the audio had been changed, but somebody might have maybe my audio was bad. But let me play this audio here. This is the audio of Trump at this is not substantive. It's just, just something to talk about real quick since I was thinking about it. This is off the Fanny topic now. Trump takes the stage in Philadelphia. Oh, I didn't even play the Trump clip. Trump did talk about Fani Willis. I should play that clip. I'll play it after this one. Trump takes the stage in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and sounds like it was a rough crowd there. Let's listen.
Wow, a lot of emotion. There's a lot of emotion in this room. Thank you. So the really nice thing is we have lines, and I want to thank Chase and I want to thank Alan, but we have, wow.
And Trump handled it like a boss. I mean, but I don't know what to say about it. I don't have any meaning. Yeah, somebody said, what's the context? It's some sneaker convention. So I don't know. It doesn't sound like it would be a Trump-friendly crowd. But even in a non-Trump-friendly crowd, I actually don't expect Trump to really be booed like that, to me. I mean, it's still surprising to me because I think he's actually really liked outside of, organically, I think he's actually really liked. So I guess it means something. I'm talking about it, but I don't know what it means. So it's just interesting. I had a different audio that had it lower, so I didn't know if it was faked or not. But not faked, but maybe the boos I think were real. But did they amp it up or not? So, yeah. Take a look. Son of former YouTube. Oh, my goodness. Man. Is this breaking news? Eric Smith? Wow. Son of former YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki found unlived in UC Berkeley dorm. Damn. You never want to hear that. I don't know what's the deal with that. But that's just news. Thanks for sharing that, Eric Smith. Eric Smith said, this is going to sound super crazy, but in December 2019, I witnessed an Asian couple in my neighborhood I had never seen spraying something from a perfume bottle into the air, but not on themselves. Yeah, I don't know. They were spraying stuff in China, I believe, and that's when we were seeing in 2020 the people dropping and stuff like that. And okay, so can you confirm, yes, China had cases in September. So maybe he knew because he was, like he said, he was traveling. So it's possible that he did know something. Daddy Willis. Yeah. So I think that's it. Yeah. I didn't play the clip of Trump. I just want to play this. I don't think I played this. The Trump clip where he actually acknowledged, this is from today. He actually acknowledged, and this is a good clip to end on. It's a good clip to end on, but just as a kind of a funny little thing. Trump's response. Let's take a look. What does Trump have to say about his most recent comment on the Fani Willis stuff? What would Trump say in the most Trumpian way he addressed it? That's for sure.
How is Fani doing in how's she doing in Fulton County, Atlanta? How's that trial? No, I paid him cash. I didn't take anything. I paid him cash. Oh, where did you get the cash? They're not allowed to answer that question. They're not allowed to answer. I paid him cash, she said. I gave him cash. Oh, I didn't take anything. No. Every time we went on a trip, took 9 trips in 1 year. That's a lot of trips. I haven't taken a trip. I don't think I've taken a trip for about 30 years, actually. I don't take too many trips. But it's like, I think she said 9 trips. Every time I took a trip with my lover, I paid him in cash. Where the hell did you get the cash? You know, what a lot of bullshit. And they hurt a lot of people. She wanted to indict U.S. senators. You know, they stopped at like 40 people. But a lot of good people have been really devastated by the incompetence of that whole thing. And Georgia's been so badly hurt as a state. You know, it's been an embarrassment for Georgia. But when you watch that trial, it's so sad. I paid him in cash. I gave him cash every single trip I took. A lot of trips, beautiful trips. Norwegian Cruise Lines, beautiful trips. It's so nice. Love is such a beautiful, isn't love a beautiful?
Man. Well said by Trump. He he sold some sneakers today. I'm not prepared to talk about it, but some gold sneakers. Donald Trump doing his best Ye impression. I haven't heard the Ye album yet, so I gotta check that out. I've heard some songs on it. I mean, it's new age. It's not really my style, but I think he's so good. He's really, Ye is Ye. So, but thanks everybody. I'm gonna be out. Put some clips up. Visit middlemaga.com. It feels good doing a late one. I'm talking about bags of cash. I had to do cups of coffee to make it through this one, but well worth it. Every Tuesdays I'll do it. 2 p.m. Eastern. I appreciate y'all. I'm out.
We have